Okay. Um, First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. I just want to say thank you. I know I'm not living a great life in sense of as a target individual, they are trying to break me down and make me accept these personalities and this nasty manipulation to make me experience and make me try to make me subscribe that this is something that I should subscribe to, I should identify to, and this is not manipulated. And I'm thankful that I'm not living the life this low life live. I know they live a more comfortable life than me. They are able to live a freer life. They can do much more than I can, but this is not a free life that they live. They're trapped in different ways as they're framing me. I'm just so thankful for that. The humiliation is beyond. I need to be literally broken down mentally, mentally manipulated every second, every day of my life. While these people, they have to do every second block out reality, every second. They are cowards and low lives. They have they have to live a life of delusionality that is unbelievable, countering reality at any point, by any means. And so I'm just thankful that that's not a life I had to live, regardless of how destructive my life is going to be because of being a target individual. We are human subjects. We're test subjects. The government is running this program. Please, target individual, do not fall for this psyop. The way they're putting these things together in order to create this falsified reality is just a way to just kind of disorient you, to block the reality. And reality is no longer there. Their job is to distort every kind of reality. Like, reality is completely removed, and they call it their reality. It's a reality of manipulation and distortion. Well, where they can create a false reality and live with that false reality and make you believe, they want you to believe this false reality. So for me, making these videos is a way to maintain reality as really what it is, not this distorted reality where they try to sell this falsified reality, and be able to speak to what's happening to me before I can't. Because of continuously bringing back the reality of what I'm part of, know that the people who wanted to create this distorted reality and make me believe this fantasy, they want to compensate by making me experience even worse tortures, a theater of torture. I'm saying this program can do everything to you remotely. They can destroy you in every ways. They can even probably the destruction that you can experience when this technology is used onto you are, I'm just, they can do so much, and it can be very, very, very precise, very precise. And so when they tell me how they're gonna, this person's gonna beat me and do this and that, I'm like, my body is breaking down. They keep telling me how I'm dying, and of course I feel my body, just my organs just not working well. Nobody beat me up, nobody done anything to me, but I believe that I am perhaps dying. I'm becoming, my body is just breaking down. So when they say like, oh, this person's gonna beat you up, gonna do this and that, it's like this is for the theater. It's a theater. It's because they wanted me to identify with these manipulations, and they think that whatever's gonna happen to me, because this person is gonna do this and that to me, then I should be identifying to this. It's part of how they try to get you to accept these manipulations. So for me, I expect nothing but that. Now, death comes to all of us. During my targeting, since August 19, 2019, a lot of people have died. A lot of people. I mean, I lived in New York during COVID, when COVID was killing 500 or so people per day. Some of the people I remember mocking me. It's like, oh, this death, oh, it's the end of the world. I remember when I was going to the grocery store, and people were like laughing it off. Some I remember this now interesting. this person within a perp who's this like the typical perps for me at this point. It was like this. They try to present themselves as this like very progressive, liberal, white, 20-some-year-old, you know, very progressive. Know all the pronouns and probably have all the COVID booster, like just like so, like politically correct type of person. That's the kind of side. Now I know at this point it's just the way they try to present themselves, and for strong, the purpose mainly, I think, for me is because the people who put me in this program are very conservative, and so I think by creating this psyop, it's supposed to take me away from the reality of these people put you there. You're dying in this program that is led by the government. But if you think that this is some fierce, like very liberal, progressive, progressive minded individual, very liberal, then you might be disoriented enough to think that this is something else but the reality of what you put in and but who put you there. I was in the grocery store and somebody just like she grabbed her booger and like put down the like on the one of the thing where this groceries, just like wiped it off, like just sprayed it, looked at me and just walked away. Right? That was before COVID was COVID. Now I can imagine this person probably have all kind of boosters, all kind of, and she's like probably like, you know, awful. Like, so my point is, these people are just clowns. They were opportunists that wanted to delude themselves into something else. They wanted me to look at them as like this, some femme fatale. They're avenging, and it's such a clown. They've been humbled and humiliated by reality. Big time. You know, women are like, no, we're just group of femme fatale. We are. It's like, you're not. You're opportunists involved in and participate in the program that torture a lot of women and children. Matter of fact, a lot of women have said, or actually, a woman have said, literally, there's a lot of females involved in matter. What kind of? You're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear why their life consists of disorienting and distorting reality, countering reality. That's their life right now. That's the life I could have been living. And every time they try to convince themselves that, you know, no, this is, you know, we're not, we are, and then when there's things like that happening,
but I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, he was shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Oh, he's shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is, with the voices go, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would soften on the female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think there's nothing wrong with them?
so it's clear that the gender doesn't change the fact of what they're part of because they do that to women. And the reason why they wanted to create this psyop was like, no, you pay for what you did, and try to vilify you. And so we're doing that for the women that you did this to, no that, like you are here doing horrible things to women all around the world. You're trash and opportunist. So I'm a target individual who deals with the V2K and synthetic telepathy. V2K means that they can project their voices remotely. Now, what that means, it can be full on character. You can hear the tonality of how they speak. It's like, no, just start talking like that. Clowns. It's like they have this character they've created. Then you see them in person, and you see how weak and bottom feeders they are. How fraudulent they are. It's so nasty. But I'm so thankful I'm not, because it's not only women. With me, what they're trying to do is create a psyop, but this bunch of big guys. This is not, you know, like the guys are just being quiet at times, and then they start speaking, and they try to be so fierce, like, yeah, you're gonna die like this, you're gonna be decapitated, and then you're gonna be drowned, and just like, listen, say Roy Moore. Say Roy Moore. You can't. Why? Because you know who's running this show. That to me is such a blessing. It's a blessing that they sound so fierce, or at least try to sound like it. But saying the name of this man,
and go a food courting. More. Moore even went to the mall to get into the holiday spirit. One woman recalls that she was 14 and working as Santa's helper at the Gadsden Mall in 1977 when Moore first spoke to her and told her she would look pretty. 2 years later, when she was 16, he asked her out on dates. He hit on one of Santa's elves. Well, a true evangelical, he's putting the Christ back in Christmas. Wow. And it wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior as soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA.
the reason why I bring up this person, whose name is, when I say that's when they try to say, because they still want to sound fierce, but they can't say the name. I think I heard somebody saying it, but I'm not sure. They time it to say Roy Moore that I can hear, so I can hear it, but still want to sound fierce. But they're somehow restricted to say this man's name, who allegedly was picking up kids as young as 14 years old, was banned from the YMCA. Saying his name is like a blasphemy to them. They say it like you're scared to say somebody's name in a very timid way or hidden way that you don't know. But why do I bring Roy Moore's name? It's because the people who put me in this program donated money after the allegation that you heard. And for some reason, these people are terrified to say his name. Now, to me, this person, Roy Moore, has nothing to do with me. But it's a reminder of how bottom feeders they are. I've said that in front of somebody, they turned red, they start walking away, terrified. I was, oh, you're crazy, you're crazy. It's like, yeah. Say Roy Moore. You can't. You can say it if I don't hear it, but you cannot see it in a clear way. So what they do, to still feel fierce, they time saying it when I don't know they're saying it. So when I'm focusing, I'm talking right now, they can say it real quick. Do you understand the fear they have of this person? This is allegedly picking up kids, a pedophile. I've seen that in real time where there's like somebody who's supposed to scare me. He was looking at me saying, and I say Roy Moore, just look. So these people, to compensate for that, the time when they can say the name Roy Moore to when I can't speak, when I can hear. For example, when I'm speaking right now, in full on description of what's happening, I can hear somebody say, "Oh no," I'm like, oh. Terrified. Oh, everything else is say clearly. No. That just reminds me of reality. There is a pattern here, in the sense that, and this is not a design pattern, but a pattern in the sense that these people do so much nasty things to people, but the entities running this program are very pedophilia centric. Now it's clear the government is running this program. Not any government, but the Department of Defense, because the technology that they're utilizing on us. For example, what's happening to my brain? They are able to manipulate my thoughts. My thoughts are so manipulated and so disgusting in many ways. They're destroying my body, and I can hear their projected voices because they're using V2K. All of that, you're going to hear somebody else say the same thing. Their job right now, as what they do, is to counter reality, which at this point there's no way to counter that. It's just too validating. But that's the life they live before whatever happens to them happens to them. I could be living their life. That's why I say thank you, God. I'm not perfect. I know my imperfection, but I could live this nasty life. I haven't been praying as much as I need to, because I think making videos, and I'm just being disorienting so much that I don't have time to come down and pray. But if my prayers will consist of thanking God, knowing that there's going to be horrible things going to happen to me, horrible things, especially about the humiliation. My prayers consisted of, God, thank you. And the earlier before, it was more like, God, show me, like, don't let these people live their fantasy. Demask them. Show themselves for what they are. Show reality. Don't let them escape in their fantasy. And a lot of that has happened. Now my prayer is like, thank you, God, for what you did. Thank you. I could have been them, but God give me strength for what I'm going to go through. I'm going to need a lot of strength to deal with all the horrible things I'm going to go through. Because now, listen to this humiliation. This program is obviously led by the DOD. The DOD, the Department of Defense, is obviously running this program. It's obviously the intelligence community, like the CIA, is involved in this. You know that the CIA expertise is all around this, and the DOD funding and resources and technology is involved in this. And there's no other entity like the DOD that can afford to do this kind of things to us. And the reason why it's happening to us is because they're looking for test subjects. They need human subjects in order to develop this technology. They need human beings to continuously increase this precisionness of how we can be manipulated, not only psychologically but also physically. Our organs are being destroyed. Sometimes what they destroy your own organs, right? They do horrible things to your body. You feel pain, then it ends. So it's like they make you sick and then fix that. So we're guinea pigs. And that goes with the brain. They make you think in all the different ways, manipulate you in different ways. But the ways they manipulate you have been done to others. They're very consistent in a lot of the things they do. And even this PSYOP try to make you believe that no, it's and they try to distance themselves from what this program is about, because they torture children too and women. No, it's our horrible. We're different. Like, of course, you cannot do anything horrible to me without being in this program that does horrible things to children and women. But they contract people who are very childlike minded. Matter of fact, even people who are not childlike minded become childlike minded. They turn off the logic. Logically, rationality is just turn off. They turn it off. It's time to become dumb. No matter how smart you are, dumb yourself down really quickly, because you know the reality of what you're part of. Really quickly. Go into your persona. These people have been humiliated by reality. One tactic they've been doing to torment people is the pedophilia type of torture. Anytime there's a child or around, they will manipulate these reactions. They're making me think, actually, I'm glad I thought about it because I was going to forget. They made me think of when I was trying to get the elevator. I remember this thing. So nasty. So sad. You know, before when I saw kids, it was like wholesome, endearing. It's like, oh, put a smile on my face. It's like like it's endearing. It's wholesome. You get that special feeling of like, oh, today is disgusting because they have rewired my reaction to have stimulations that are sexual. It's so nasty. And then they're like, no, what we do with MAP, like, remember you felt like that when you were a kid. Imagine when you're, and they try to like talk about me reacting this way as a child. I'm in my late 30s at this point. Or I'm in my 30s. Can you imagine saying, no, we're making you feel something you felt when you were a child. And then they try to make me imagine me as a child, like, you see, you felt like that. And you're like, I'm not a child. And this is also falsified. But they can go into, in your childhood, you have like all the different reactions that when you're developing, you can get to when you're like, especially like pre-teen and early teen. Those like, and they try to use that moment, you felt like, and they try to play with your memories, but it's childhood. So they want you to be like, no, what we did was we mapped it to you as you're a grown-ass man. You talk about me as a kid. these reactions are not reactions that I will have organically. You are making me have this reaction, and even when I was a child, I was not going to have this reaction. But you can make me have this reaction, and then try to hide them in my like childhood. That's how retarded these people have become. And they're like, no, we're not that. And you have people like them. Who are clowns, basically. Who are like whispering, no, we map these things. So I go into the elevator. I remember going to the elevator, and there was very adorable kids. And the father was trying to like he was there with two baby, and the little girl was just like picking, and she was very adorable. It was just like, but I got this disgusting reaction that they forced me to do. It's like it was a battle. She was so adorable in the sense that it was so endearing that it was like almost surpassed the nasty stimulation they made me experience. It's like, now you see you mapped it, and it made you feel like that when you were a kid like that. I was like, sure. Try to make me accept these things. And truly want me to be like, oh, wow. No, they are making you experience something that if you're yourself, if you're not being rewired by in whatever means, the way they might rewire you, you will not have any of this reaction. You're able to see this adorable kid for the adorable kid that she is, and not have these nasty stimulations. But these people happen to work for entities, and these entities running this program happen to have truly a problem with pedophilia. The humiliation of reality. While this trash here want you to accept this retardation, that no, we mapped it to you when you were a kid, and you're like, no, you do the pedophilia type of torture, and I'm not a child. It's like me looking at some 30-some-year-old now. We're gonna make you feel something you felt when you were like 12 years old. We mapped it. You look at this person like, are you retarded? Have you gone retarded? But these people, it's their job. It's their job. But the humiliation is like, they do this pedophilia type of torture. This is not only happening to you. Others have said the exact same things. The thing is, with them, they try to make you believe that what they're doing is making you feel something you experienced when you were a kid. The reality is this. There's a lot of projecting. A lot, and not awkward lot. We know the Department of Defense is running this program. The Department of Defense is having and has been having issue with pedophilia for a long time. In 2019, a bill was passed. A bill was passed in order to attempt to stop what you're going to hear. Listen to this.
It has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security suites. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely
You just heard that. The ranking came from a child porn internet watchdog That's a Child Protective Service entity, ranking all the network in the United States. That's close to 2,900. The real number is 2,891. The Department of Defense is ranked number 19th out of almost 2,900 network for circulating child porn using DoD network. Now you understand this level of projecting is disturbing. Remember, I will always pray that God, don't let these people live their fantasy. Don't. Remove the mask that they have on. This psyop, this facade, not literally a mask, but like the way they present themselves.
This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head on."
You heard that. She's saying the notion that DoD network and Pentagon devices are used. Those devices given by the government are used to circulate, create, and access child porn is disgraceful. It's shameful. This is how disgusting it is. This is not even addressing these pedophiles that do this at home with their own computers. The issue is like, it's not even that. The issue is like they're using this DoD network, these Pentagon devices to do this to a level where they're ranked 19th out of 2,900.
Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it...
Computers of the DoD. Well, these bottom feeders are telling me how know what we do with mapping the projecting of reality is so much, but that's the job. What can you do? The reality is you work for entities that have a real problem with pedophilia, not things that you have to manipulate and then say, no, we're looking at what you experienced as a kid, we're bringing that up. The computers of the DoD being used to share, create, and access child pornography. They are ranked 19 out of 2,900 for the most child porn being shared in the United States. In the article, they say that they've been consistently ranking top tier in regard to sharing child porn. This shows the level of pedophilia that's ongoing. The reality will never, this is, can you imagine, how can you even look at me and I'm going to let you escape? I know who's your pedophiles, and I know who you guys are the pedophiles. So much so that they're even ranking you guys in these ways. They send these childlike people. And who I'm showing is not even like the most childlike individual. The people that I'm hearing are just even, they have these people. Like, no, you're a pedophile. At least they're not. They are the ones that are even worse. You're Michael, like Michael Jackson, because they do this pedophilia type of torture, forcing me to have these responses toward these babies. You're Michael. No, you have plenty of that. Or you're CIA agents or your DOD agents. They are so filled with pedophilia. It's disturbing. But on top of that, the way we are manipulated is pedophilia centric. That's why I'm like, thank you, God, that my life is not. Their job right now is to see how they can tweak around and manipulate your brain in order for you to experience nasty reaction to our children, and then try to find ways to camouflage in one way or another. For me, they use, oh no, we're making you feel the way you felt when you were a kid. Imagine that happened when and they make me imagine this. For example, this moment, with this kid, they make me imagine, but if you're a kid and this happened, you feel. You see, does it not match what you experienced when you were a kid? What? And make you experience that with a feeling that they said, now you felt like that when you're a kid. And do you know the manipulations? But that's what they do. This is the pedophilia issue.
This is a common breakdown
what they do.
tactic of belief systems and of human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds, and vice versa.
Almost all target individuals are forced to see child pornography in their mind. Do you understand? Do you see a pattern here? Matter of fact, by the way, when I was like talking 2 seconds ago, I hit my leg. I think I kind of touched a little bit of my private area when I did that. I go through my phone. I have a picture.
Army reservist. And
I have a picture of a family who lost a father because a TI ended up killing 18 people. That was the largest mass shooting last year. It's a baby of 2 years old, very adorable. This even heard they tried to do these nasty things. Initially they didn't do it, but then they cranked it up. And this baby is just like a little baby, adorable 2-year-old. Do you know the way they make me experience what I'm seeing? So nasty. But this is not the only validation that they do this pedophilia type of torture. Listen to this.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind. But he thought of it. This disgusting thing. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I can't.
This trans woman says, "There's people around me." She first have said that they try to change who I am, putting thoughts of pedophilia. She doesn't finish the whole word. She said "pet," and then she's like, "You know what I'm trying to say? Pedophilia. They're putting thoughts of pedophilia, trying to change who I am." And there's people around me who, I don't know if they're using weapons, I don't know what they're doing, I just don't want that. People around me, for example, people around me like that, and in all different shape and form. It's not just that, it's just because they make themselves more obvious to be seen. There's also men and try to get you to accept this manipulation. They do this nasty pedophilia stuff, and it's obvious. Now, this is not the only time that I hear that. There is more validation. Listen to this woman.
What is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and videos in my...
You heard specifically say the pedophilia type of torture. How much validation can one have? It's validated they do the pedophilia type of torture, and there's another testimony that I don't need to bring right now, but where she says that they've been doing this program of perversion, starting making her feel something while she's rubbing, patting the dog, giving her some kind of stimulation, and then start aiming that toward young people, then children. You gotta understand, these people have been humiliated by the reality of what they do. they are doing the pedophilia type of torture, and the entities that you heard have this problem. Listen to this. This is again bringing back to the issue with pedophilia in this DoD.
Recently endorsed and helped pass key legislation in Congress, the End National Defense and Network Abuse Act. The provision, authored by Senator Graeme Schatz, D. High, and co-sponsored by Senator Lisa Murkowski RAK, is included in the annual National Defense Authorization Act and is expected to be signed into law. The End Network Abuse Act would assist the Pentagon in stopping the Department of Defense's DoD illegal use of the government network to view, possess, trade, and even produce child pornography. Millions of child sexual abuse images are being shared across the internet. Over 45 million online photos and videos were reported to tech companies in 2018 alone. The use of child pornography is not limited to the DoD, but data from 2018 revealed the DOGS network ranked 19th out of 2,891 nationwide networks when it came to peer-to-peer trading of child pornography. Child sexual abuse images are flooding the internet and almost no one is fighting back. The DoD is unequipped to deal with the level of abuse coming from their own
devices. Network. I heard this trash say something. A 4-year-old. What she's trying to do is try to bring me back to me as a middle schooler. I did something stupid to myself when I was a kid in middle school. And so when they do these things to me, it's like, no, we mapped it to they try to make it seem like I felt like that when I was a kid. I didn't feel like that, but I did something stupid as a child. Like I said, a child in middle school. And it's funny how they're like, no, it's fake because what you did as a kid. They try to exaggerate what I did as a kid. But please remember what they do to children. They try to make me feel guilty, which the truth is, looking back as an adult man, looking back as me as a child, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But I understand children can do stupid things like that. It's what children are capable of doing. And they have to exaggerate what a child did in order to create this psyop. It's nice fate, you see, remember what you did as a kid? And try to exaggerate what I did as a child. This is around the age. Children. Imagine you're involved in a program that does horrible things to children, and you try to make this person believe, oh no, it's fate for what you did as a child. While you're torturing children. Listen to what they do to children.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, ow, and this was used to threaten me with...
This is a 7-year-old child with autism.
Severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated,
a 7-year-old autistic child being suffocated, they have this ability to restrict your lungs. They've done that to me. And you hear them not only doing that to a 7-year-old, but sexually torturing a child that's 7 years old. Right now, there's some perps in the hallway who's trying to counter the fact that they torture children. Because what they're trying to do is to try to disorient you in regard to what they do to children.
I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also worked with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister, who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow."
This is a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old with Down syndrome they are being sexually tortured. They're in a program that does these horrible things to kids. I don't know if you can capture the noise campaign outside. They're doing everything possible to counter that. So you hear what they do to children. It doesn't end there.
I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more.
It's a 3-year-old sexually tortured. Now, the reason why I say thank God I don't live their life, right now a man was outside yelling, making noise campaigns, trying to say all kind of things to try to disorient me, because the reality is they torture children. I say thank you God I didn't have to live life where I have to block this out or counter that and make a fool of myself. Because you heard how pedophilia-centric these people are. The entities running this program have problem with pedophilia. So much so that the bill attempts to stop the access, the circulation, and the producing of child porn using Department of Defense network and devices, and them being ranked top 19th out of 2,900. You heard that they do the pedophilia type of torture. Majority of target individuals are saying they're being forced to think in these ways and have these disgusting manipulations that are pedophilia-centric. As one woman said, doing the pedophilia type of torture. You hear what they do to little kids, as young as 3 years old, sexually tortured. With me, they were trying to make me think, oh, it's fate. You pay for what you did when you were a kid in middle school. Do you hear the horrible things they do to children? Do you hear how they torture them? Harm them sexually? While doing this pedophilia type of torture? Then I don't know if my camera was able to capture. But did you hear, maybe you didn't hear actually because my phone is not the best. There was a man in the hallway yelling, saying whatever he can, it's foul, blah, blah, blah. And in my head they were trying to create these battles because, initially when you don't know who these people are, they vilify you. And you start thinking, oh my gosh, I was wrong for doing this, this. And I was like, well, that was foul. Then now I understand what is foul. Because foulness is what these people are part of. And that's why I'm so thankful. Because these people are beyond foul. Foul enough to torture children. Foul enough to torture women in ways that you can't even understand. It's beyond just rapes. Foul enough to then present themselves as a group of femme fatale feminists that are protecting and avenging women when they're in a program that is torturing even children's baby. You heard the woman saying there's a lot of females involved in there. What kind of woman are you? Seeing there, watching, being involved, even participating in something that does these horrible things to women. In every ways I've been validated. And that's why I'm so thankful to God. That's why I'm so thankful. They tell me how they're going to frame me. I'm like, do your nasty. What do foul people do? They do foul things. That is the true meaning of foul. I could have lived my life like this. It could have been me doing these things to them. Or not even, sorry. I could have been doing things with them. This kind of nastiness. Making myself a clown. Be participating in this thing that's destructive all around the world. I'm so thankful that before whatever's going to happen to me, I was able to participate in this. This is a TI Day 2020. An awareness in regard of what's happening around the world. And this is me.
I'm a victim of organized stalking, electronic harassment, microwave torture, B2K abuse, and I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture, and I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We need this to stop.
electronic harassment. And I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the US, in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We need this to stop.
electronic harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
We've become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the target.
This goes on. More women talk about what they're going through, how their families being destroyed, and how this coward old life are doing things to them. I'm just thankful I could be living life like them. I'm thankful I could have been living life like this slow life that countered this reality. They live life-changing reality in order to cope because there's benefits and there's incentives. I can only imagine the kind of financial incentive they get. We'll talk about the Department of Defense. It's like limitless resources, finance. We're talking about the ability to manipulate human beings. Even if you don't even get paid much, even if you don't even get paid, just the fact that you have empowerment of being involved in manipulating the life of somebody, while your life is like to be determined. TBD. Don't know what's going to happen to me. Am I going to get sick from what to what? Am I going to get in a car accident? Like, what's going to kill? Who's going to die around me? To be determined. But me, because I'm a target individual, and they involved in my targeting, oh my gosh, they know so much about what's going to happen, what I'm going to hear, but know nothing about what's going to happen to them. So that alone is empowering. When you see these losers doing this thing, it could just not even be the financial aspect of it. But even when you hear them talk to you via V2K, the way they create this character, he'll talk to you, he'll do this. It's like they love this like fantasy they've created for themselves. As cowards as they are, I see them for truly the nobodies that they are, truly. It's funny, with me, they try to even sometimes have this weird walk of like, I was like, oh, look at you. You're in character mode, huh? I can say Roy Moore in front of you, you lose your bounds. Bottom feeders. Now for me, God, like I said, give me strength. Because I'm going to have to go through a lot of horrible things. They're going to have to create a theater to counter what you just heard. I didn't even put the testimonies of what they do to women. Talk about foulness, it'll be shocking. If I give you listen to just 2 seconds of the kind of foulness we're talking about.
Experiences, including my reactions and responses, knocking, swaying, jolt. The torture was they also often forced vaginal all over my knees and hands when hitting the hard floor. Then once on the floor, I would be attacked so severely, nearly to the point of passing out and rolling my eyes to the back of my head in such excruciating agony for many, many hours on a regular, nearly daily basis.
She goes on and talks about all these horrible things that's happening to her. This agony of torture that includes a lot of sexual torture. You understand the level of foulness we're talking about? To add to the foulness, we've heard about a lot of mass shooting happening. Do you understand when you have people pushing you to this insanity? Aggression is only normal. Now, I'm not for this mass shooting. I don't target individual. Do not choose aggression or violence. It's not going to do anything. But I understand why it got to that point. In October of last year, the largest mass shooting happened. The mass shooting happened in Maine, not too far from here. The man said that he was hearing voices, and they were calling him a pedophile. Listen to this.
Last week, the New York Times. I'm Michael Ibarra. This is the day. Today, the mass shooting that occurred in Maine last week, killing 18 people, was the country's deadliest of the year. It may also have been one of the most avoidable.
Army reservist, and the document and his ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer, and the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices, he started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. They also note he has collected about 10 to 15 guns that he kept at.
Which is work with the Army Reserves.
I think that's right.
Okay, so what happens next?
So the next thing we know that happens is in July. Card travels with his reserve unit to West Point, New York for an annual training exercise, and there's a very concerning incident that takes place. They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly.
And he killed 18 people. He's not the only one. There's other mass shootings that have happened throughout the year that are very similar to what just happened. All kind of red flags, all kind of showing like this something was going on. One of the Navy Yard mass shooting, 12 people died. He literally said right after, like he wrote ENF, I think it's electronic magnetic frequency, on his shotgun as he was killing people, and wrote a letter. The reason why I killed this, the reason why I did what I did, is because he was saying that he was being influenced and manipulated or controlled by these low frequency weapons. This is the kind of foulness we're talking about. So target individual, I would say be thankful that you didn't have to counter this life, that counter this reality. Because it's horrible to be target individual. We live a nightmare. But what would be worse if you had to live life where this is what you have to live with, where you have to distort this reality? I don't care if there's a million of us doing the same thing. I will not be okay with that. Right now, as I'm listening to that, they're doing everything possible to disorient me and try to make me think about anything else but the reality of what they do. No one need manipulating the brain in these pedophilia ways. And it's been validated to change people's brain to have these nasty reactions. And then they send childlike people like that. Let me see. Childlike people like that, that's supposed to make you believe, no, we mapped you. Then you find that humiliation that no one need to do the pedophilia type of torture, but the entities that run this program have real problem with pedophilia. So you know that they have a pattern of making people thinking in these pedophilia ways. And it's been consistent with other testimonials. And their job is to make you believe, no, with us, you know what we're doing? We're making you think the way you thought when you were a kid. and they use this like sensible tonalities, like we map you. It's like such a clown. I could have been living that life. I could have been the one making myself this retarded. Try to block out this kind of stuff.
Recently endorsed and helped pass key legislation in Congress, the End National Defense and Network Abuse Act. The provision, authored by Senator Grain Schatz, D. High, and co-sponsored by Senator Lisa Murkowski RAK, is included in the annual National Defense Authorization Act and is expected to be signed into law. The End Network Abuse Act would assist the Pentagon in stopping the Department of Defense's DoD illegal use of the government network to view, possess, trade, and even produce child pornography. Millions of child sexual abuse images are being shared across the internet. Over 45 million online photos and videos were reported to tech companies in 2018 alone. The use of child pornography is not limited to the DoD, but data from 2018 revealed the DOD's network ranked 19th out of 2,891 nationwide networks when it came to peer-to-peer trading of child pornography.
And then block out what they do in the program.
This is a common breakdown tactic of beliefs.